Okay. We ready to go live?
You know, can we dunk on you for like 5 more minutes?
Dunk on me on the podcast. It's prime. Okay, we're going live. Dunkin' Dale Nuts.
Is that our open?
I think that is our opening. Hi, Internet.
Hey, Internet.
Welcome to Very Bad Geography with Dale, because I thought Big White was the ski resort in Whistler, BC, but apparently that one is named Whistler, BC.
Non-locals.
Do you know what the two ski resorts are called at Whistler? Dale?
No. Blackcomb?
Yeah.
I thought Blackcomb was the one in Kelowna.
Okay. Well, that's a little more understandable. For non-locals, you're not going to recognize how egregiously Dale fucked this up. But
I forgot how international you guys.
Yeah. If you're Australian right now, you're pissed because those are the only people who work at our ski resorts
at Whistler.
BC.
Hey, welcome to Outrage Factory, the podcast where we look at the things that made people mad online and explain why they're dumb for caring. This special early afternoon edition, because we are joined today by international raconteur and man of mystery, Dominique Fricot. Dom, hey.
What is happening, guys?
Guten Tag, as they say in Germany.
What was that thing that JFK say? Ich bin ein Berliner?
Ich bin ein Berliner. Do you know that? That's funny?
Because it means I'm a donut or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, did I step on your tagline?
No, not at all. But it also does mean that you're actually a person of Berlin. So I don't know why everybody shits on them so much for that.
Wait, so are they in essence calling them the whole city a bunch of donuts?
Donuts.
No,
I just want to warn everybody I might be over caffeinated because fucking noon, and I woke up and I was like, I better get some coffee in me for this early episode of the podcast. And I'm 3 cups deep, so
3 cups deep. The Dale DeRuiter story.
Enjoy me loud in your ear this early.
Dom, for people who maybe are not familiar with you or your personal brand or did not go to high school with us in Salmon Arm, British Columbia, can you explain?
Didn't go to high school with us is watching this.
Listens to this podcast. Can you explain a little bit about who you are and maybe plug your music or whatever project you have going on lately?
For sure. I'm a musician. I, like Dale mentioned, Derek and Dale mentioned,
Ladies.
Originally from Salmon Arm, British Columbia. I now live in Berlin, Germany. I'm a songwriter. I work in several. I spread my time across several different projects. I've toured for the last 6 years now with a band called the Folk Road Show. Touring has not been as present in this last year as
you don't say.
But I also have a solo project, and most recently, actually, I've been doing a lot of sort of collaborating, basically because it's just more available and there's a lot more people asking for it. It's called top lining. So I write vocals for different types of electronic music.
Yeah, you had a couple EDM, is that what the kids would call it, tracks drop lately that were actually really fucking good with that.
Are those under your name or someone else's?
It's Lee. It depends.
It's Lee, yeah.
They have both of our names on it. The funny thing with it is now I'm singing on this track with I think it's a track that's coming out in the next while, and the thing that the music industry has started to do now is labels just want to pile as many names on a product as possible.
Like hashtags almost.
Yeah, almost like hashtags.
You get more exposure.
I think there's 4 or 5 projects attached to this one song that I sang and co-wrote. Wow. And one of the projects didn't do anything.
So it's like a group project in school.
Yeah, exactly. He's exactly like that. It's just like, I was talking to the producer and he's like, it's just, it's the music industry and it's marketing, so we just need their name, and I'm just like, oh wow, we've gotten there. Because I think for a while at the beginning it was like quite a lot to put 3 names on a project, and now it's not out of the question to put like 4 or 5 names. It's just like, wow.
Do you think it's all just because of like Spotify and streaming, because if there's with these so many names, they will show up in everybody listeners like new releases from if they listen to any of those. So you'll get a lot of cross promotion.
100%. Yeah, that's totally why. Yeah, they and I think too. I think everybody's having a tough time making a dime in this industry. It's just like,
was that like pre-pandemic as well, or more pronounced in the past year?
It's definitely more pronounced, but I think before too. Like, I've talked to a lot of people who are on labels, and when they talk about, I mean, it's not every label, but a lot of them, they don't know how to. You know what I mean? Like, the label like a huge label has sometimes even less idea than like a small artist how to promote and how to market something. Everybody's kind of just grasping at straws. So it's quite an interesting thing how to watch them sort of like recommend things or the choices they'll choose to make.
Have you tried? Oh, sorry, Derek.
No, Dale. I was going to ask a legitimate question. You were going to make a joke, so I would rather
segue out of this into the next subject. So if you have talk about this before.
No, just do that. Do the segue, because I think this is the perfect topic for a musician to speak to.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Segue it up.
So pretend that awkward interaction didn't just happen.
We'll edit it out of the audio version.
We're not editing. I'm much too lazy for that. So whatever. So, hey, Dom. I heard that it's hard to make money as a musician. Have you tried getting some swag going? Like, in specific, some really ugly shoes with human blood in them?
I knew you were going to this. I knew this is what you were throwing to. No, I have.
It's Easter, so we obviously got to talk about all the Satan shit.
Oh, yeah. We do.
Yeah.
Easter Saturday, baby.
I mean, this is the day that like there was no Jesus, right? Yeah. There was Good Friday, there was Jesus. Easter Sunday, there was Jesus. Saturday, today is Satan's day. So we're leaning into this. We're going full LIl Nas X. Let's fucking go.
I mean, Jesus did go down to hell after he was crucified, and on the way, he probably wore those fucking ugly Nike Air 97s.
Hold up. Wait. What?
Jesus,
is that true? Is that
he died? He went to hell and spent 3 days there, and then came back on Monday.
That's not in the lore, is it? Dom, can you?
I was about to cross into that one too. I don't think that's part of
it. Canon.
It's not.
Wait, do Catholics have a different story than the Christians?
Wait, what did you grow up as? Like,
I was Christian Reformed, which is the Dutch.
You know what I?
Yeah, I know. Dutch Dom and I went to the same church.
Yeah, which was Catholic.
So the Dutch believe that Jesus went to hell for 3 days over Easter.
Yeah,
like a 3-day vacation.
Hell, hung out with Satan, got some shoes, and then came back on Monday. No, like he went to hell, and that's what he took everybody's sins on his back and went to hell. And he's like, "Yo, Jesus or Satan, here's everybody's sins. Peace. I'm out."
Like reverse Santa Claus. He took the world's sins in a big old sack on his back.
Literally word for word from the Bible.
All right. Let's talk about the shoes. And to a lesser extent, he put out a song too, didn't he?
Yeah,
that corresponded with it.
Call Me by My Name, or his actual name.
Montero?
Yeah, that's his actual Christian name, I guess you could say.
I didn't know that.
So I kind of went deep on this, probably deeper than I should have, because one of my favorite conspiracy theory podcasts did a breakdown of the video. And the funny thing was the conspiracy guy was like, on surface level, this just looks like a homosexual musician who's sick of being told he's going to the hell by the church. Kind of lashing back and being like, well, fine, if you say I'm going to hell, I'm gonna fucking just go dive right in and get right into that for my video where he literally goes to hell and twerks on Jesus. And I guess it's gonna be confusing if we jump back and forth from the video, but the shoes are kind of supplementary swag for the video that he released.
And the shoes were basically like a custom collaboration with some fashion house
Mischief
somewhere.
It's like a company called Mischief. It's MCH. Mm-hmm. It's basically Mischief with all the vowels taken out.
And they took some Nikes and just like
drew on them with markers.
Put a new color scheme on them and allegedly put a drop of human blood in
the back on the
sole?
heel. On the heel of the shoe, there's a little there's like a little thing, and it's full of red liquid, and 6 people who work at the company Mischief, and it's funny because it's like the conspiracy guy I was saying was like, this is all like a cult shit, but like the people at the company Mischief were like, haha, it's funny, we put blood in shoes. And it's like, I guess like you could argue that it is a cult, like if you're putting shoes in, it's like this whole like ritual magic where you get enough people to do something, then it makes it stronger and stuff, if you believe in that sort of thing. But if you don't believe in that sort of thing, why would you even do it? Like, because I guess it's a marketing gimmick.
100%.
The whole thing just feels to me like it's just it's going for a headline.
Yeah.
You know, like from the video to this, but I mean, maybe there is more to it, but I mean, it makes great headlines.
I mean, you look back, people have been doing this satanic panic shit for fucking ever, right? Like the Beatles did it to sell out, or wait, did the Beatles do it themselves, or did they just get caught up in it?
That was more the race war, wasn't it? Are you talking about Helter Skelter or something else?
What?
Are you talking about Helter Skelter or
I'm
sorry,
war?
I'm not familiar with the Beatles. Did
when
they
it was
do
like
specific
if you played
satanic stuff?
Albums backwards, there were satanic messages.
Oh.
Back in the day when you could, when songs were on vinyl and you could spin
them backwards,
them backwards and listen to the songs in reverse.
The Beatles, the Beatles were not playing with the whole satanic thing. The Beatles have been attached to that largely because of Charles Manson.
Yeah, the Helter Skelter thing.
That's what he means by the Helter Skelter thing. So the Charles Manson and all that kind of thing, they latched on to a lot of these like conspiracy theories surrounding the Beatles. The band that did actually kind of play out the whole devil thing though was the Rolling Stones. They were much more like, yeah, let's fuck with this. Like, I don't know if they were doing satanic rituals, but they definitely played up the sort of connection with this sort of evil
sympathy for the devil.
Yeah.
Little Gnostic religion in there.
Yeah.
But this has been a marketing tool for many years, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want to get some free publicity, mostly from the religious right, which I think is most of the people flipping out about this.
Yeah.
Best way to do it is to invoke Satan in your music. My favorite thing is that like LIl Nas X, his first song, his big song, the reason he got big was like a fucking country song with Billy Ray Cyrus or whoever.
Hometown Road.
So you lure in all the country music fans who are like more traditionally right wing that way. And then you like drop a satanic bomb and get like, this just seems like a very long game to get a lot of press for this one song.
Yeah, the best part is if you play the videos back to back, like Hometown Road with Billy Ray Cyrus, and then this like Call Me by My Name, Montero, the music's pretty much the same. there's no like he's like, I'm country hip hop, and then you listen to it and you're like, I guess, and then you listen to the new one and you're like, it's not very satanic at all. It's just like basically like pop hip hop with maybe a little bit of like, I don't know. Dom, you're a musician. How is the new song the same genre as the old song? Like what I'm trying to say, or is it different? Because it sounds the same to me, and I don't know if that's just because I don't like hip hop or country.
Or because you're an old white guy. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you're pretty on point there. I wouldn't call it that much of a stylistic leap. I mean, I think when I think of Old Town Road, I feel like the only thing that really made it country is just the fact that it's Billy Ray Cyrus singing the hook.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's kind of one of those things like when there was a period of time before Taylor Swift, I think, just became pop where she was still country. When it's just like you listen, you're like, this is country. Like it just sounds like pop music, but because Taylor Swift is singing it, then it makes it country. And I think that's kind of what, I mean, it is kind of twangy. The funny thing is that have you guys been to go back to this idea of like marketing and using the church and the Bible Belt, all that kind of stuff? Have either of you guys heard this new podcast, Welcome to Your Fantasy?
Mm-mm.
It's basically a documentation of the Chippendales. It's like the oral history of not Chippendale Rescue Rangers, like the Chippendales,
the male dancers.
The male dancers,
immortalized by Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze in that one.
100%. They talk about that a few times. But one of the most interesting things was that like it was connected. The Chippendales at the beginning was the early 80s, maybe late 70s, early 80s, I think. It was connected to this whole women's lib movement, where it was just like women deserve their own version of like Playboy. You know, that's why Playgirl kind of, you know what I mean? And women deserve to go out and fucking watch strippers too. And what the owner did originally is he set up his bar, and he would call the church groups when they were going to have a night and just be like, did you hear that there's going to be male strippers? And he would get the church groups and the women who would come down to protest that this is wrong. He would let them know, so they would come down, and then he would call the news outlets to be like, do you hear what's going on tonight? And he would just like this marketing, like smash everything together to get as much hype as possible. And
that's so fucking smart though. Like that's
genius.
And I mean, you know, with today's outrage culture, I'm surprised we don't see more people. Like LIl Nas X actually, like he did this knowing there would be a reaction, there would be a pushback from the right, and he's basically just spent the last week or so dunking on people for reacting to this in a pretty flawless way. But I think I'm surprised there aren't more people who aren't like just recognizing that there is this machine fueled by anger that will give you free publicity. I look forward to the next Dom Fricot single dropping, and it's it's you drinking human blood and like drawing pentagrams on yourself or whatever your new brand is going to be.
I wish I was that cool and that ballsy. It's so old and boring.
Yeah, one thing I just wanted to point out when I was talking about the conspiracy. Back to conspiracy theories, because that's all I do now.
This is now the Dale DeRuiter third hand conspiracy theory podcast.
But no, the only reason I brought this up was because in the actual video, there's this weird like writing that's glowing on a tree, and it's like I think it's in Greek. And the guy on this podcast, like he found the fucking, why can't I think of that word? Oh my God. Sorry for stalling out the whole podcast because I can't think of, translating. This is awesome. I'm the best. Anyways, so on the tree, there's this writing and it's in Greek and it says, translated, it says, so in the beginning, when they were cut in two, they yearned for each other's half. And this is a reference to Plato's Symposium, line 191 or part 191, lines 5 through 6. And it's
how deep did you go on this,
bro? What am I supposed to do? Like not go deep into conspiracy theories? But
yes.
he's just saying it's weird that this is in there. Like it's basically like Plato wrote this thing and it's a reference to like an old tale that basically humans used to be three sexes. There was male, female, and the third was a conglomerate of them both. And then I think it was like Zeus split them in half and that's why people talk about soulmates and stuff, because you're constantly yearning for the other. And one thing is you could say that this is like occultism because Platoism, like Neoplatoism, is one of the three bases for making a cult besides Hermetic and Kabbalah. But it also could just be LIl Nas was talking about how males have to get in touch with their feminism side so that they can be more whole, because like supposedly way back in the day, we used to be like masculine and feminine, perfectly balanced. And then we got split up. So that could be why there's like the stripper pole and him twerking on Satan and stuff. So it's weird. Like if you want to get into like the occultism, there's like breadcrumbing where you could just go down a rabbit hole like I did.
Yeah.
Or on the surface, it could be like Janessa said in the comments. It's like I've seen worse in other videos. Like there's been Satan shit in other videos, like mostly heavy metal and stuff. But I think another thing to think about with this video is in January of this year, LIl Nas was doing an interview and he was like, yeah, my audience is little kids. I recognize that and I'm okay with it. So it's like, your audience is little kids. And then you come out with this like supreme Satanist shit, which is like, I don't know, like, should kids be able to watch it? Like, I think they should, because it's weird because it's not like super dark Satanism. It's all like cotton candy Satanism. Like, it looks like if Katy Perry's American Dream was about Satanism. Like it's all like purples and candy and glossy and stuff. Did I just derail the podcast?
I mean, there's a lot there that I do not want to respond to at all. Oh fuck. I don't know. I saw a tweet in response to this that was a pretty good summation. And it was basically from a guy who was like, I don't understand why people are flipping out over this, because I came of age to a movie in which Satan and Saddam Hussein were gay lovers and having anal sex. And that's, I think, is kind of set the bar for like pop culture Satanism. And nothing will probably ever compare to that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know.
like the South Park video. I'm pretty sure
movie.
The same people that were pissed off at this were pissed off at that. And it was funny because like the way they got away with getting a penis in a movie was they would show the penis and then it'd be like, oh, look, it's a cutout on a piece of paper or whatever, because the stop animation and stuff of it. So I also want to just say that Nike has sued Mischief, and they're not allowed to send out their actual shoes. Like they got like the article called it a restraining order against the actual shipping of the shoes, because Nike said it is bad for their brand and they never gave permission for Mischief to make these shoes. So right now, nothing's going to happen anyway.
It's so funny though. It's just like what just way to make those shoes way more valuable. And
yeah.
I mean, there's like it's very cleverly enough. I'm assuming they're art. So there's 666 of them.
660, yes.
What? Yeah.
And they sold out in a minute.
Of course they did. Yeah, and they fuck. What does it say here? They're worth like
1,018 or something.
Yeah, that's good.
It's going to skyrocket.
It's going to be way more than that. It's going to be like Bitcoin. I don't know Bitcoin, but I have those LIl Nas shoes. Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Sneakerheads are going to go nuts. My one beef with them is they picked, like the way it works is Mischief takes a pair of black and red Nike Air 97s, and then they put a little pentagram cover over the laces, and then they did some painting on the side. Like they referenced the biblical verse Luke or something, talking about how Satan fell like a lightning bolt, and so they added all that on. But my beef is they started with such an ugly shoe. Like you see the Nike Air 97s, and they're one of the more horrendous Nike shoes. Like you could have started with like Jordans or fucking any other shoe that looks better. What do you guys think? Like the Air Force Ones, maybe even?
I'm not a sneakerhead, so I think these will go over with the sneakerheads.
I haven't been into expensive Nike since I was 13 years old. So grow the fuck up.
I don't understand why Nike's getting upset about this, because like the people who are upset about these Satan shoes were already boycotting Nike because of Colin Kaepernick. So like what the fuck? They're not losing any additional business, right?
I think the people who burned their Nikes when Colin Kaepernick got signed on as a representative of Nike finally bought a new pair, and then they burnt those when this came out.
They've finally forgotten about their rage.
Yeah, they're finally over their like bigotry, and then they're like, oh fuck, now he's going after our religion, or they're going after our religion. Let's burn these shoes too. So
I mean, there's 666 pairs. To me, it's all just, it feels like just so much theater.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the United States seems to sue everybody every 10 minutes. It's just like, it's like, I sued him. Like, again? Like, yeah, I sued him. Did you actually take him to court? No, but I sued him. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was a call made to the secretary, just being like, just write a press release. We sued them.
Yeah.
We're still so fucking rich. Who cares? We just need to help our image. Just say that we sued them and let's move on. Who cares? It's 666 pairs. Probably.
I think the funny thing is like the three of us were all raised in the church when we were kids, and all of us are like, yeah, this is stupid. And it's like none of us are like scared it's going to give power to Satan or anything. But I guess, are you guys religious at all, really? Like, do you still...
I mean, I wasn't until I found out that Jesus took a sack of sins on his back to hell for 3 days over Easter. And now I'm like, I'm back in. That's amazing.
We got a blank slate thanks to Jesus. First we get...
I mean, I'm not really, I'm definitely not practicing. Organized religion just kind of tends to get me like, ugh. Like and I probably have a lot of like ingrained
religious scars.
Just from growing up Catholic and being like, but like spirituality is something that I am becoming more interested in just the idea, like there is this connectedness to the world and like a higher power potentially influencing or guiding things. It's
you mean like the intermingling of our essences and our energy and our chakras, Derek? Is that what you're saying? You don't believe in Jesus,
that.
but you
like
believe
our auras
in chakras?
And shit. Yeah, I believe in chakras. Very
chakras.
The one religion that I've gotten interested in lately is Buddhism, as fucking obnoxious as it is. But just being able to like be like, oh, we're all fucking insignificant and nothing matters, and that's just like the way we should carry ourselves through life is a very interesting way to look at what's up.
When you said obnoxious, were you saying it's obnoxious to be a person who's into Buddhism and talk about it, or is Buddhism obnoxious?
No, Buddhism itself is like the antithesis of obnoxiousness. But like being like a Western white guy who's like, I'm into Buddhism now. Okay.
Well, when you say it like that, I mean, I'm more prone to Taoism, but I see
shut the fuck up.
I see the allure of Buddhism. No, I like Buddhism to the point where I went to a used bookstore and I bought a book on Zen Buddhism and put it in my bookshelf. So
you're Buddhist now.
I have like the popcorn seeds of interest in it, but reading books is more like a chore. So I was just like, I don't want to do full work.
Ladies,
to find a new religion.
Dale's illiterate. Get a load of this guy.
I'm not illiterate. I just don't have the attention span to sit and read. Maybe I'll get the audiobook once I'm done listening to audiobooks about aliens and stuff. So,
Tom, where are you on religion lately?
Fist fight, Taoism or Buddhism? Pick.
I think I honestly think, like, to me, I've always seen value in every religion, but there's always, like kind of how you said, organized religion kind of makes your like skin crawl, or just. There's just something to me, there's eternally flawed with all of them, and you know what I mean? Like there's something good in all of them, but there's like something that just always just doesn't really, like, just misses the point. For me, I think that the thing that I've decided is largely like, I think a lot of what we learned in growing up in the church, a lot of the principles and a lot of the philosophy that were imparted on us is actually very, very valuable. I just think there's a lot of the things that we argue about, like the things that annoy me about Christianity is this constant talk about heaven, and how a lot of I feel like a lot of people are doing things so that they get to heaven, and my argument is always like, I think it's one of those things like we don't know, and it doesn't really matter. Like, we should all just be nice to each other and be good and try to be good humans to make this a better time right now and this a better world. And if at the end of it all of a sudden it's like we get something, it's like great, we did good, and then there's a heaven. But like for me to just like, well, I can't tell Dale what I think about his conspiracy theories. I have to love him for what he is.
Yeah, Derek.
Because then I'll get to heaven. It's just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he was saying,
I agree with
tell
you.
Dale what you think of his conspiracy.
I agree with you, Dom. Like Christianity or Catholicism, like the rules and like the morality clauses are all good. But what they should have done was, instead of being like, do this to get to heaven, they should have just been like, look, these are a specific set of rules that if you go by them, society just runs better. Like if you don't fucking murder each other or fuck each other's wives or take each other's property, then we can live together in more peace and harmony. Like you don't like, because as soon as you go, if you do this, you get something, people are like, oh, well, then it's all like kind of, I'm only doing this so I can get something. And then like if you're LIl Nas and they're like, you can't go to heaven because you're a homosexual, then you're like, well, why would I fucking do any of this other stuff when there's the allure of Satanism that says I'm the God living on earth and I have all the power within me, so I don't have to go to Christianity to get like saved and go to heaven. So what we should do is start a new religion called Outrage Factory, where Dale is the priest.
Religion Factory.
And we don't start a cult. No,
Didn't we talk about starting a cult?
Yeah, I think we called it the Lost Boys way
Lost
back,
Boys.
like 80 episodes ago. But we got to come up with a better name.
Well, I'm just like, does religion only exist because it's people hedging their bets against the afterlife? Like, is that the whole reason any of this shit exists at all? It's because we're like, just in case there's something after we die, we want it to be good and not bad. And that's the entire reason that. Yeah,
one of the reasons that Christianity exploded was back in Roman times when they were putting Christians in the gladiator cage and feeding them to lions and stuff. A lot of the Christians were like kind of at peace, and everybody's like, whoa, why are these people okay with just dying? And then they explained, it's like, we're okay with dying here because we go to this promised land where everything we like is true and everything. So everybody's like, oh. So I believe it was kind of a way to keep people in line and be like, look, if you don't rise up against your masters and fucking start murdering people who are like pushing you down, then you could go to heaven. So it's like you kind of make sacrifices in this life just to reap the benefits in the next life.
I don't think that's one of the sole or the main reasons that religions exist, though.
No, I was talking about Christianity specifically.
Oh, okay.
Why it got popular. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a strangeness. It's this weird necessity that we as humans feel, because I notice is like, you know, like growing up in the church and seeing what it, like the community that like is based around it, that kind of flourishes within a church and through the different, you know, Protestant churches that were in our town. And then watching kind of how all of these, like basically a lot of people who are our age kind of just moved away from the church, and watching these other hippie things and like different sort of, like I know different people who kind of get involved in cults or have been involved in cults, or even things like multi-level marketing. Stuff.
Yeah.
Are you talking about that one specific cult in Vancouver?
I mean, that is definitely one of them.
What was that called? Nephilism? NXIVM? Yeah.
I actually have NXIVM experience.
Oh, really? Speaking of, this is the stuff I love. Just give me cult shit.
He was.
Yeah.
Huh?
He was in the sex cult.
I didn't mean to derail your point, but like what you're saying is
make
like
your point and then tell us the NXIVM shit.
But my point is, I don't know what exactly it is, but I think we're all kind of longing for this. Either it's the greater questions answered, or this spirituality, and it's kind of all linked to, like, you know, think community, spirituality, the great answering questions of the great unknown and all that kind of stuff. And I think it'll I feel like it will always reappear in different ways until the end of humanity. And I think we do that in different ways. Like Derek, you even said yourself, like you're starting to look into Buddhism, or you're starting to like become more spiritual. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's just, we all find different ways of answering that question.
Yeah. I mean, you nailed the 2 points right there. It's like people seek understanding, like they want to understand the universe and life and why any of us are fucking here at all. And then we also want to belong, right? Like there is, and to me, that's the one thing I miss from organized religion, is like that sense of belonging, that sense of community, that like having your group of people. Like Dom, you and I were in youth group for a long ass fucking time together. Your mom was our leader, and I just remember it was always nice having like a group of people that you belong to, whether you like wholesale bought into the beliefs behind it or not.
And I think it's interesting too, because if you sort of can kind of like get together and have sort of like this sort of unique, or not unique, but like similar understanding together, like if we all like, it's kind of like we all play basketball, and so we can all like almost connect and open up around our lives around this thing. And I think with religion, what they often do, we all kind of get around whatever idea it is, and we can kind of like open up with each other around the way that we interpret our lives through the words of Jesus, let's say. And I think that's like what we got through youth group, is that we could open up with each other on these topics and kind of be like, this is a safe space, you know?
Yeah. Like the good thing about religion is it's like a big support system for everybody. Like it's because each church is like basically 100 people, which oddly enough is like that book Tribalism. I can't remember the author, but he's saying like people have this natural tendency to split into groups of about 150 at maximum, and then you can like support each other. Like the good thing about the Chorch is the sense of community, like you guys say. Did I just say Chorch? Anyway,
say Chorch.
And that's the name of our new religion. It's going to be called the Chorch. Please,
Outrage Factory Chorch.
Pass the Chorch.
Yeah, but it's like you can, like, if I'm having trouble, I can go. Like, I remember my dad; he was a deacon in our church, and we had this thing where it was like you would go and help people. So if somebody was, I hated it because he dragged me along, and I was a teenager who didn't want to do anything. And I remember one time he's like, "We're going to get a mattress." I'm like, "We don't need a mattress." He's like, "No, we're going to pick it up from the store because we have a pickup truck and the people who bought it don't. And we're going to do the nice thing, pick it up and drop it off." And I was like, "You mean I get to lift a mattress for no reason other than to help people?" And since I was a dickhead teenager, I didn't see the benefit in that sort of thing. But it's like, just having friends and family to rely on is nice. So it's like you could see why people who don't necessarily like, because we have a pretty big group of friends like that. We all grew up in Salmon Arm, and it's like some of us are in Germany and some of us are in Vancouver or wherever, but we still, if we need each other, we can like rely on each other. So I think that might be one of the reasons why we left the church, is because we don't really need it to have our support system met. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about NXIVM.
Yeah, we have people.
I don't want to let this go.
People in the comments are fucking clamoring for your sex cult story, Dom.
Also,
oh really?
Are you comfortable with this?
Oh yeah. Do
you have a brand, or did they only brand the women?
I mean, basically, it was a very. I mean, how big was it? I don't even know how big it was. Like, so I was invited. NXIVM, from my standpoint, or from how far I got into it, was just like what's that other one called? Like, it's like a Tony Robbins or a Landmark kind of thing. Like I went to, like meetings in Vancouver where we discuss like self-betterment and reaching your full potential, and it did feel like this later version of kind of a churchy kind of thing, where we could talk about like our truth and our feeling. And I think in the essence of a lot of the stuff that they tackled as a sort of like philosophy or reaching your full human potential kind of course, were actually quite bang on. Like I took away a lot of stuff that I still use till this day, just like things about just like being honest with myself for the largest part, and not being a negative human being. A lot of that stuff was really, really good. But I mean, the organization had tentacles that like started in Albany, New York, Albany, and then just like went out to Mexico and to LA and to Vancouver. So the real crazy center was all in the middle of Albany. And I mean, I got hints of things as I was going. Like, I kind of always had I got into it largely because a friend of mine who was one of my producers on a music project, he talked to me about like basically having a really positive effect on his life. So I was like, I have some free time right now, and I wouldn't mind checking this thing out. And I just trusted him. So I went and go to this thing, and I got a funny feeling from the get-go. Like there was signs that I should have just like paid attention to. Like like the one thing that I was like, yeah, this feels weird. Because you immediately went into the center, and it was like, it just feels a bit too clean. It feels a bit too churchy. Like I have to take my shoes off when I come in. And I think that the icing on the cake that I kind of just like chose to ignore was when you went in, I think it was, you went into the bathroom, and there was one of those, like, when you see those images where they make something look like they'd made the leader's face, like it was like a painting of the leader's face, but it was made out of little photos of like,
okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
when they do this when they like show like
the
tons of
mosaic. The mosaic effect,
like a
right?
like a collage or whatever. Yeah,
it's a collage, but it's just like with pictures. It was like pictures of lots of people who were in the actual. We're just gonna call it a cult. People who were in the cult.
Okay.
And it was his face, and he has this very like Jesus like appearance. Like the beard and the long hair and the long brown hair. And I was just like, that was pretty weird. But I mean. I did stuff for about 2 years in it, and for the most part it was really positive. The only time when I was like, this is kind of fucked up, was the sort of multi-level marketing aspect of it. Because I could just go and just take the courses, and they were fine, but it was like they'd always be trying to get you to get more people
to recruit other people into it, right?
To recruit. And I was always like, I just doesn't resonate with me. Like
you're like, my friends will make fun of me if I talk to them about this.
Well, that a bit of that too, but I was just kind of like, but I don't really feel like it was more just like the way in which they would start to guilt you when they would try and tell you to do something like that. And it would just be like, and it was just very manipulative tactics that I've seen before, where it's just kind of like, well, what does that say about you? Like, what don't you see how you're not reaching your goals? Like, don't you see how it's the same you not reaching your goals because you can't go do this thing? Like, why wouldn't you want to give this thing to your friends? And I
like
was
a mild
like,
gaslighting almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I would always like push back hard on these kind of discussions. And at some, I think 2 years in, I was just like, yeah, okay. We had this thing called this is probably the thing that I don't want to admit to. So we had this thing, and it was called readiness. And so when you broke out into small groups, have you heard about this, Derek?
I watched like all the documentaries about it, so I'm like, okay. I'm familiar. Yeah,
I don't know any of this. So
And this is the thing that was definitely like a lot of people had a tough time with this, because so we'd break out into groups, and it was like you basically be like amongst men, and you'd have like your men's small group, and you had to be ready every day at noon Pacific time.
Like this podcast.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, exactly. But basically
Right.
every day, unless you gave some reason that you weren't going to be ready, like you're like, I won't be in range, so I'll be on a flight or blah blah blah. You had to respond. Like basically, there was a message that would come down from the top, allegedly, that would go down from group to group down to the bottom, and I'd be at the bottom, and I'd have to be ready at noon, and I would just get a WhatsApp message that said "ready?" ? And then I'd have to type in within 30 seconds, I am ready, period. And then I'd have to shoot that back. And then they would go all the way back up the top. And they would time it every day. And it was every freaking day at noon. And there was so much like confusion. And we'd always be like, well, what do we have to be ready for? And there was kind of always this sort of underlying loose explanation that like we don't know, but there could come a time that we have to like mobilize. And it was like for what? Like why? And like
I mean, psychologically, they were like, because that was something that showed up big in the sex cult side of things, right? Like the DOS thing they had, and I think they were like, it was basically like just like sussing out obedience and like reinforcing that, like we have a request, you do it, you don't ask questions. But that's extra sinister that they were positioning it as this like it was there could be a war like,
or something like we need to have good men, and it was always like, this is fucked up, because like the funny thing about that is that we would do earlier on, like one of the things that I thought was really valuable is like I had a coach, and you decide upon you would do these things called consistencies, and it was basically the same thing, but I didn't have to do, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, like Derek, like I'm your coach. What do you want to create more in your life, Derek? Oh, Derek's like, oh, I want to be writing more. Okay, well, Derek, well, you should be doing something with your writing every day. And Derek would choose like, oh, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna try and write for at least 5 minutes every day. And so you'd basically have like each day you'd report to your coach, like, and say like, my consistency or my whatever it was called is done. And there was a big thing in that, like when we would do these things and we'd be like, oh, it's really fucking hard to actually to fulfill your word, to say like, to actually, I'm gonna train for this marathon. How are you gonna train for this marathon? Well, I'm gonna train 6 days a week. Because like most of us just kind of go like, yeah, the first week was strong, the second week a bit better, and by like week 4 we just stopped. You know what I mean? It's just like the week 4, and then it was a year later and we didn't do, like we just canceled our membership or whatever it was. And that was actually really powerful to like actually do that and to get to the point where it's just like, wow, like my consistency, I've done 40 days in a row and I've actually noticed how much growth I've had and how much better I feel in myself about like when I say I'm going to do something, I'm like, I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah, you're accountable to yourself, right? Like,
yeah, like,
exactly.
Just do Twitter challenges now instead.
Yeah, exactly, right. But the so I got out, and then it was like it was 2 years until all of a sudden it was really fascinating because like I was on I'm still in this Facebook group, which is basically the NXIVM members of Vancouver. It was basically the Vancouver community, and all of a sudden, all of these people just started like announcing that they would no longer have anything to do with NXIVM. And it was just like, and I'm in Holland and I'm on tour and I'm like, I'm not involved at all anymore, but I'm just like, what the heck is happening? And it took like 10 posts and me just like reading and just being like rubbernecking the whole way. Like, what is going on? Until I finally like just did a Google search and it was just like, oh wow, oh, it really was a cult. Oh,
turns out I should trust my judgment.
All those red flags meant something.
But there was so many people signed up in Vancouver that we, I think Sarah, I don't know if you guys, the leader of the Vancouver group, who's now
Well, so I was going to ask if you met her, because she was like, she was instrumental in like building it up, and then she was also instrumental in taking it down, right? Like she was a major figure.
Oh, and I think the person who got me into it said like, you know, like in regards to the multi-level marketing side of things, like I think there was like 550 people I think signed up in Vancouver alone, and she accounted for like 90% of those. So she was somehow linked to, like, basically most of those people were either directly brought in by her, or they were brought in by people that she brought in. So she was just like at the top of all that.
So who brought you in?
Oh, I'm not going to say.
You don't have to give it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I don't need to soil their name all right now.
Okay.
But it was a friend of mine. It was a good friend of mine.
Okay.
Still a good friend of mine.
Allison Mack. No, just kidding.
I never met her. But yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy.
And I think more than anything, that reinforces like how fucking easy it is to start a cult and like get people like there was a lot, like they had like this whole like psychological operations side. Like clearly the leader knew what he was doing, and the people who were abetting him knew what they were doing. And they had all these like things like the readiness thing and like a lot of other things that were just kind of designed to, what was it? It was like suss out people that were like super suggestible or easy to manipulate, or to like wear people down to a point where they were. So, yeah, basically, I took that to mean that there is hope for Chorch. So please sign up if you're listening. And
I was gonna say, like, the readiness is such a good example of how something that could seem kind of hanky but overall innocuous is actually something that's a really kind of potent form of grooming. Like, you hear about grooming all the time, mostly with like sex crimes and stuff, but you're like never really understand what it is. But it's just something like this that kind of like subconsciously gets you more ready for suggestion in the future. So it's like, yeah, I'm ready. What am I ready for? And then like a year later, they're like, okay, do this now. And it's kind of like takes you through baby steps to get you to a certain spot where you don't see it coming, but like the leader of NXIVM probably had this grand drawn out plan of where he wanted to like corral people into.
Yeah, exactly. And I wonder sometimes like how, you know, like how many levels down you had to go until people actually really had no idea that like that they're, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, even like it seems like when I listen to the podcast with Sarah, like I think she knew what she was doing in regards to making sales and the manipulation that she was also employing to get more money and just to get more people into the company. But I really think she didn't see the sinister side of it. I really don't think she saw the mind control or the just the manipulation in regards to when you were in. I think a lot of people truly believed that it was a really, really valuable good for the people who were in it and the world. Like they actually fully bought in and believed it.
Yeah. Like it's one of those things too, like you were saying, like with your example of going to run a marathon and stuff, is there are legitimate good, like positive benefits from being in this sort of structure. But it's like the nefarious secrets and stuff are usually the most closely guarded secrets in any cult. And the only reason any of these cults ever get blown up is because someone lets it slip. Like what would have happened if nobody found out that NXIVM had this weird sex culty part? Like it's the weird thing about cults is the leader always just gets horny and starts trying to have sex with too many people, and then he can't contain the secrets. Like with Chorch, we're definitely not going to go through that because that's how you blow it up. So
wait, are you saying we're not going to be extra horny in Chorch?
Yeah, Derek,
it's like you can go one of two ways. You can go sex cult or you can go death cult. Pick your poison.
I pick sex every day. Like, do I get laid or do I die? Ooh, it's a tough.
Oh, it's a toss up. Real toss up.
Wait,
Dom,
is there
I
a
want to
comment
be
involved?
I want to be mindful of your time. It is 10 p.m. there in Germany. And we have gotten through exactly one topic on our list. So I want to ask you, what are you mad about this week? What has made you angry? We can talk about that, and then we will bid you.
Does it have to be something of your list? Because I do have something that involves the internet. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Go for it.
We are an internet-based. Yeah.
This does involve the internet. I mean, we're living on the internet these days. But so I play in this project called Flora Falls. We're a duo. It's me and this Australian girl, and we just put out a video. And we have a friend, like an official music video. So we have a friend, and he'd had a lot of success where, when you're on YouTube and you're on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have ad blockers or what, but when an ad comes up and it's usually like, "Hi, welcome, you should get your blah, 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 blah," and so they're trying to sell you something, and then you wait for the skip ad thing and you just skip it.
And you skip, nobody watches the ads unless you're
a
serial killer.
So what he had done is he just put his music video as that thing. Like he just been like, I want to get people to see it. And he I don't know what he put in, but like money wise, but he actually had a lot of success. And a lot of people had like commented under his video saying like, I never watched the video. Like that was great. Thanks for, and I think the thing is just kind of like, it makes sense. It's like, it's not what you expect. You know what I mean? You don't expect just.
It's not selling you something. It's just a song, right? Like
exactly.
Wait,
exactly.
Was his song the ad on the video for the song, or was it in other videos? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you go to watch, like if I type in Dom Fricot's newest music video and then an ad comes up, would it be like he put the ad as his music video for the same music video?
No, for a different music. He put his music video as the ad on other just like random videos.
So you're watching my video and then or whatever you're watching, and then all of a sudden it cuts to a commercial, and the commercial is just his music video. All of a sudden,
he must have had a wicked opening hook for that to work.
He must have. Yeah, he must have. I mean, I've seen the video. I can't remember, but anyways. So I put it on. I was like, well, let's try it. You pay for advertising, whatever. I put in $20 and got like 600 views or whatever that means. And then basically what happened was like I was like gonna extend it, but I couldn't find the button to extend it. Like I was like, where do I freaking? And I'm looking, and I just make a new. I make a new ad. So I make a new ad, and then I get a call from Google, and Google's like, hey, so we noticed you had an ad, and but why didn't you continue? It seemed to be going pretty well. And I was like, oh, like I just couldn't find the button. Like I honestly, like it's, you could see on my account.
Yeah.
Like as you can see on my account, I've already made another one. They're like, oh well, we have a free service right now where we'll like help you optimize your ad. So I'm like, oh, like great. I'd love to learn more about YouTube optimization or Google optimization. Great. So I get on a call with his name is Dominique as well from Google. He's German in Frankfurt. And so we start talking the next day, and I explained to him like what we've done, because he's like, well, like what's the call to action? I'm like, well, actually there's not really much of a call to action. It's just a music video. Like we're just trying to get it seen. I'm like, we don't have a store or anything yet. We're a really new group, but like just trying to get some views and trying to get like people to like maybe go like, oh, this is refreshing. It's not a terrible ad that's trying to sell me something. And he's just like super like, like I'm really, I respect the idea, but that's not what this is for. Like it's for like a 1 minute ad that's trying to sell a service. And I'm like, I mean, we are marketing ourselves.
Yeah. You're like,
I'm like, we do have a service. It's just not so readily available at the moment. It's just kind of like, if they want to go watch more YouTube videos, they're there, or they can whatever, all that kind of thing. And so, but what really cheesed me is that he's like, but what you're doing is manipulation.
Wait, the guy from Google, from YouTube advertising said this to you?
The guy who called me because I had to put my phone number in to help me optimize and buy more advertising told me that what I was doing was manipulation. and to be perfectly honest, I like when people complain about how like YouTube and Google is like spying on them. I'm like the first person to be like, fuck, I don't care. When I go on my Google Chrome on my phone and I go to like Google something and I immediately get like,
it knows what you want, right?
It knows like, I'm just like, oh look, it's like Tom York is doing an art thing. Oh my god, like all the first 5 links I could just get lost in for hours. Like I'm like, I want Google, but the fact that the guy from Google told me it was manipulation, I have been fucking furious.
Well, that's like
it happened.
What? That's fucking advertising, dude. That marketing is you manipulate someone into buying your music or your service or your fucking software or your product or like whatever it is. That is marketing. You manipulate people.
That is
marketing. What you got to do is you got to make your music video like about what was that Fentos, the one from Foo Fighters where they had like the Fructose. You got to do something like that where you could say, we are marketing something. It is this product. And then the product page will just be to buy like your album or something.
Wait, so did he say you couldn't do it? Like, are you still running the ads or did he?
I am still running the ads. Well, he said, this is part of it. He said that Google might suspend my account. That was why.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, for what? And he's like, well, it's manipulation. And I was just like, I don't think. I was like, as much as you're the expert right now, I don't think you know what you're talking about. Like,
you're gonna Alex Jones me for buying ads. Yeah, how is that fair?
It's like, but like, how manipulative could it be? It's like, in 5 seconds they can click to skip it. If they want to skip it, they just skip it. Like I can see all the like.
Are you sure this guy was from Google? This wasn't some like sinister competing musician who was like, whoa, better stop this guy.
He's actually from DuckDuckGo.
I'm from the Google. Yeah, I'm from the Google and you advertising your music is bad. Stop doing that, please.
Yeah. Over here at Vimeo.
Maybe. But I just think, I feel like what really makes me like the most upset about it is the fact that it's just like, it's not like somebody else just who's marketing being like that kind of market. It's like Google. Like like they are like the tech lords of manipulation. Like nobody 100%. Fucking does it better than them. Like I said, it's like Harvey Weinstein being like, oh, that's a bit creepy what you're doing. It's like is that a pat on the back? Are you supporting me? Like I feel like I should get a trophy for this. Like if you're I'm manipulative. Like I'm really that good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you've out manipulated Google, you're doing something right.
They're probably just like, why the fuck aren't we doing this with our ads?
All right, that's a good segue. Dom, if people want to check out your song or your music without you manipulating them to do so, where can they do that?
I'm gonna go watch this EDM video right after this because that's my jam.
It's really fucking what was it? Rattle and Hum?
Rattle and Hum.
Okay. Yeah. Wasn't that a U2? Was that a U2 album as well?
There's a U2 album called Rattle and Hum, and the song is called Rattle and a Hum. I am also a big U2 fan. Nobody has ever mentioned that's a U2 album. Because nobody cares about U2 like people who are our age and older. Yeah. But anyways, it's called Rattle and a Hum by Dom.
My wife just aggressively texted me to say, tell Dom I am obsessed with that song. So she's obsessed with the song.
Amazing. Great.
Andrew's never heard it.
But anyway, you can find my music. Dominique Fricot is on basically on Spotify. Dominique Fricot, or if you're more into like my electro stuff, it's Dom Fricot.
Something I've noticed on Spotify, and this annoys me, and I will tell you because I got to assume you're responsible. You have some music under Dominique Fricot, You have some music under Dom Fricot. You have some music under whoever you're fucking partnering with. You have some music under the Painted Birds. You have some music under the Folk Roadshow. It's like, if I want to go and just like listen to everything Dom, there's not an easy way for me to do that. So
you can make a playlist, Derek.
Shut the fuck up, Dale.
I do have like a Dominique Fricot discography Spotify playlist, which I have like my favorite, but it's my favorites. I probably don't know what people like, but my favorite from across the like 8 different projects that I've been a part of so far.
Nice. There you go, Derek. Problem solved.
Thanks, Dom. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. that and do your homework, Derek.
Yeah. I did not. I was too busy doing nothing while Dale researched conspiracy theories about fucking blood and shoes. So.
I feel like we delved into like my cult past, a bit of Dale's cult what's past going on. I'm kind of worried about Dale right now, but like Derek, you seem very level.
Yeah, I pull back all my. This is me pulling back my conspiracy shit because I don't want to scare anybody away because I understand how much people hate that shit.
Is it just entertainment for you?
Oh yeah. Well, there a lot of it is entertainment, but some of it you're like, what if that's
so?
True?
This is how, and this is the progression of like conspiracy theorists. I feel like everyone gets into it being like, wow, this shit is wild and very entertaining, and then they start being like, wow, some of this like could be real. And then before you know it, they're like full on like QAnon, storming the US Capitol. And like Dale is in phase 2 right now, where he's starting to present some conspiracy theories as facts.
Are these coincidences? Like, did you guys ever read or watch the movie Celestine Prophecies?
No, my mom was big into that. Wasn't that like a big ass fucking, that was like a self-help book in the
it was like before
90s,
The Secret.
It? Yeah.
Yeah. But in that, basically the whole cornerstone of that whole thing was there's no such thing as coincidences, and people are like trying to get at you. So it's like, that was my early grooming for this, because I read that and forgot about it. But ever since then, I'm like, what if there are no coincidences? What if? And plus it's like, you see enough of actual conspiracies that were an actual thing, like in the JFK thing, where it was like the Bay of Pigs fiasco or Northwoods or stuff like that, where you're like, or the Contra thing that the CIA was like stealing drug money and then selling weapons and stuff. And you're like, well, this stuff is true. How much of this is true? Like, I don't know. I don't act on it, and I don't go on Twitter and be like, guys, don't take the vaccine because blah, blah, blah did this, blah, 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 that. Whereas there's a lot. It's like watching sci-fi movies. Like, do I believe sci-fi movies are true? No. Would it be cool if they were? A little bit. But is there a lot of entertainment factor in there? You're like, yeah. Like, I don't think Bill Gates is actually trying to control us or trying to block out the sun so that the earth slowly starves, or that the New World Order is a thing. I mean, that's true.
He probably could be doing some of those things, but like not.
Yeah.
All right, and not in the obvious way that everyone's keying into. It's probably more in a subversive way, like, you know. Actually,
a good specific one for this podcast episode is, I don't believe that LIl Nas is actually trying to indoctrinate everybody into a Neoplato cult based around Satanism. I think he's just doing it for the wow factor and to like get people outraged and get like free advertising, like we were saying. So I don't believe them that they're true. Some of them could be true, but I'm never gonna go to my friends and be like, yo, have you heard this conspiracy? It's totally true, because I like having friends and I don't want to be blacklisted from everybody's social life.
That's probably a safe bet. Hey, Dale, if people want to learn more about you on the internet, where can they do that?
Well, this favorite conspiracy you could go to our Twitter feed, which is Outragefactpod on Twitter. I try to tweet there a bit. My Twitter is SuperDaleBot. You could go to our Outrage Fact Pod on YouTube. Dom, you have a YouTube channel?
Yep.
What's that?
YouTube.com, Dominique Fricot.
Okay. That's basically it.
I want to announce that I am back on Twitter after a three-month hiatus. I knew you
were going to come back because I saw you through the podcast.
Well, I
Twitter
started,
kinda
yeah, I started
looking-
logging into the Outrage Factory account, and I sent a couple tweets from there, and Dale was just like, send fucking tweets from your own account. And I was like, that's a good point. So I'm dipping my toe back in. I am, so you can find me on the Twitter machine at Herder.
And you are still Herder. I was going to ask.
I will always be Herder. I'm locked in, baby. I am, if you like this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you really like the podcast, tell your friends about it. If you really, really like the podcast, head on over to Patreon and kick us some money, and we'll throw some Outrage Factory merchandise your way. And until next week,
stay angry.
Getting my shit. What are we talking about today?
Lil Nas and his
Okay,
satanic bullshit.
Love it.
That restaurant up at Whistler, maybe, probably.
It's not Whistler. It's a Big White.
Big White. Yeah.
Isn't Big White in Whistler?
No.
Look at the guy. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Was that a real statement that you just made?
Where's Big White?
The guy who said fucking salmon arm to Peachland doesnesn't know where Big White is. I'll give you
Doesn't
a
know.
couple
Big
guesses.
White's.
Is Big White the one in Kelowna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy.
Oh, that's why. Because they're like the DJs from Whistler, and I was like, yeah, isn't everybody who works in Big White?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No.
Okay.
Everybody in Whistler's from Australia, Dale.
Fuck, that makes so much more sense.